Good evening. Welcome back to me struggling to write more Haskell. Last week, I started writing an implementation of a simple dice game called Macao. The game is straightforward. You roll the dice as many times as you like, and the idea is to generate a total that is as close to 9 as possible without going over. Picked this mostly because I wanted to start playing with things like randomness and state and some user interaction in Haskell, and it did not go well. I got in quite a pickle with state in particular. So I'm going to try and pick up today, think about where I went wrong last week, and see if we can make a little bit more progress in trying to get something working. So last week I was playing with randomness, and that was fine. There's a package called random. I could get it to generate random numbers between 1 and 6. And in fact, the example, if you look at the package on Google, has got that very example where you're generating dice rolls. And there was, or maybe it's not in the code here, there was a nice example on Google on Fuldar where you generate effectively an infinite list of rolls. And then you pass in this generator, and then you can use this with your sort of unfolder to generate an infinite list of dice numbers, and then take as many as you want from that. I think a couple of places I went wrong last week was I wasn't really thinking about laziness, and I think this could be quite helpful here. So I was trying to push the idea of managing state down to a function which is also responsible for doing rolling. And maybe what I really want to do is just take this idea of rolls pure gen and not evaluate it until I need it, and then take the first thing off there. And that's what I want to start with tonight. And then the other thing I was thinking was I was probably trying to manage my state in the wrong place. Again, like I said, I was trying to push it down to this function which is doing rolling for me. And I don't think that's right. I think that will use the state for sure, but I think the actual state will be managed from something outside there. I'll probably have something which is interacting with the user, and that's going to be responsible for running the state when I need it, I think. I'm not entirely sure, but I think that's what's going to happen. I worry as well I'm going to end up with this combination of state and I/O at some point. So at some point I might just start thinking about one of transformers, but I'm hoping that's not today because I don't really know much about them. But yeah, I'm going to start with laziness. I think I'm going to rewrite rolling to use this sort of unfolder to generate this infinite list, and then just see if I can take something from that and return the rest of the list without evaluating it. So let me actually probably just. Now, let's start off by just going to the REPL. Hope this still loads. Yes, looks okay. Okay, so just grabbing an example from Google. We can just actually copy and paste these in. So on scope, import. Was it system.random? Yeah. Oops. System.random. Import everything from there, and then we should be able to do that. And then again, just copying. So this is just defining something to be the unfolding. Unfolder is in data.list, I think. Data.list. Okay, so we got this thing called roles. We'll generate our seed, or our random number generator seed with value not do 42, I'll do 264 for no particular reason. And then I should be able to say take 1 from roles and then pure gen, I think. Okay, and that returns a list with the first thing. I can take the first, say, 5 from there. What I'm interested in, is there something that's like take or maybe like head, where it returns the first element from the list or the first section from the list, and then also returns to you the rest of the list, but does this lazily. And the reason I want to do it lazily is because I don't want to consume an infinite list. I'm trying to turn that wouldn't work very well. So I think I'm looking for something that goes from goes from a list of A's to probably a tuple containing A in a list. Let's see if it finds anything. The only thing I can do is try and guess what it would be called. It's taking a long time. I don't think it's going to find it. Okay, that's not working. So maybe if you just look up, actually, just go to data.list and headers and prelude, isn't it? So looking at that, I can look at take. In fact, I can just look at data.list. See when this loads. Come on. It was running very slowly tonight. I started to read instructions on being able to use Haskell offline by installing it basically locally and telling it to generate its own index of the current stackage, which I might try and do for next week, try and speed things up a bit. Inside data.list, we've got head, which takes the first element off, and tail. But what I'm looking for is something that will take a return head and the rest of the list as well. Which is not a fold. It might be in sublists, I think. So we've got folds, building lists, sublists, maybe. So that's take and drop. Oh, I kind of want that. So maybe this is split at. In terms of tuple, the first element is prefix and same as remainder. That, I think split that is what I wanted. Yeah, combination of take and drop. Okay, so I wonder what happens if I call split at on this. Hello, people. Hi, Alex. Split at, and then maybe take the first two elements from this list and hope that it returns. It returns a tuple, doesn't it? Yes. So I'm just a little bit wary because if I call this in the REPL, it'll try and print out both sides of the tuple, and one of them is infinite. Let me just turn it to x, and then if we take the first of x, we get our two values. Cool. So in theory, we could then say something like take 3 from the second element of x, and it returns 242, which is this bit. It's great. So split at works fine with lazy evaluation. So I feel like if I can build this thing, then I can start to use split at. In fact, probably some combination of split at and head to return to me the first element in the list, and also this infinite list of this sequence of other values or future roles, effectively. Okay, so let's see if we can stick this into code here. Minimize that bit. Okay, so we could say something like roles is equal to, I've forgotten where I was with this. So roles is going to take nothing and it's going to return an infinite list. What was the type of roles? Pure gen, a list of words, apparently. In fact, let me just check that out. So I just come back to the terminal here. I can say what's the type of rules pure gen, and it's one of them. Okay, So let's put that in so we can say uniform range A and number A. Oops. Yeah, that's right. Where's equal sign? There we go. And that's going to show me a list of those things, list of A's, which are uniform and numbers. So roles we can say is, and just see if we can find how to find it. So it's an unfold. In fact, that's not quite true. I'm going to pass in the generator that I'm using, because that means I can use a sort of fixed pure generator and I'm testing it, and I can use something seeded with a random value when I'm doing it in the real program. So what's the type of pure gen? Okay, what this was. Oh, its type is just std gen. Okay. So I'm going to take, oops, a std gen, and I'm going to return, I'm going to write this incorrectly, sorry. Class definitions first, so given A is these things, we're going to take a std gen, standard generator, and we're going to return a list of these things, which are uniform and numbers. So we're going to do unfolder, and then this was applied to just role, where role is actually uniform R between 1 and 6, and that's going to be applied to the argument. So if I wasn't writing this point free, we'd pass in the generator and then we'd use it here. But there's no need to do that, I can just write like that. I haven't imported uniform range. Will the fancy thing import it for me today? Just a random uniform range, cool. And folder's not in scope, so we'll import data list unfolder. Okay, so now this function called roles, which returns this infinite list to me. So if I now reload this, I can say something like x is equal to roles. Oops. Let x equal that. Not less, but let. And also I haven't exported it, so I can't import it here. Let me just export roles instead of role. Reload. So we'll let x equal roles, and then we call first x no, what is x? Oh, so roles takes an argument which I hadn't passed it. So we'll pass in mixed gen. Okay, so we take our first x. No. Put x here. I'm confused now because x should be roles of this. Right, so take generator, pass into roles. Oh, it was split up, wasn't it? I needed to use before I could call first. So we say split that 1x, and we'll take the first element of that. Okay, that gives us our first role, and then our first two roles, and so on, which is cool. So can I then destructure that? So we can say something like let's role and rest be this, and then I can call first R. What's type of R? No, I can't. Okay. I couldn't destructure on the assignment, I didn't think. That's a bit annoying. What I wanted to do was show that I can end up with one variable which holds the current dice roll, and another variable which holds all future rolls. It probably doesn't really matter that I can't do that from the REPL. We'll find out. Okay, so now we could build. Let's get rid of this. I'm just going to delete all the state stuff from before. We can grab it again easily if we need to. Get rid of everything I did last week because it was not a good week. Okay. There's no game state. So, what do we want to do here? We want to say, what I want to do is roll it a few times, I think, just by manually creating code. So I can say something like, do some rolls. And that's going to go from, we'll start from nothing and we'll print out some stuff. So what are we going to do here? We'll put strill in and we'll say first roll. But before that, we'll say let. So x is going to be equal to rolls applied to mixed gen and some value. Big is very A0 arising from use of rolls. That's interesting. I don't quite know what that means. Any help for that? Defer type warnings. I think that's okay, actually. I'll find out because this is deferred type warning. What I think is what it's saying is when it's evaluating it, I haven't told it exactly what type is coming back. I just told it it is uniform and somehow numeric. But it doesn't know quite what this list of A's is going to be, other than the fact that it's going to be uniform and numeric. I think that's what it's saying. So instead of saying it's uniform range numeric, I could say it's an integer. That satisfies those things, and it is in fact an integer that I'm returning. Does that work? Oops, give it that as well. I think that does work. Okay. So integer satisfies being uniform range and being a number. So now we can assign x to that. The next thing we can do is printing out first roll. We can also actually we have x, so let's pull out split at 1x. So our first roll we can say is I need to show this, so I'm going to show first, oops, bracket on this, first of R. No, so R should be a tuple at this point, I think. So what's the type of split at? In this case, R is like the X I just stand above. It should be a tuple of a list of numbers to, sorry, a list of numbers and then another list of numbers. I don't know why that doesn't work. What's the actual error here? So it couldn't match that. Oh, sorry, I confused it. I was passing in first roll as first argument to put string in, and then plus plus as the second argument, and the function plus plus, I think. Whereas I actually want to just evaluate all these first to build a concatenated string and then print the whole concatenated string out. Okay, so the first rule is that. Let's just save that for a second. Reload. I've got to export it. Some func and then do some rolls. I think I've typed some nonsense beneath as well by mistake. Yes, I undid one of my bracket removals. Reload that, and then we can say do some rolls. That should print out some stuff for us. So first roll is 4. We actually just want to say the head of the first of R. Ooh. Head of the first of R. Try and get that right. Okay, so reload that. Oops, reload that. Do some rolls. Say first roll is 4. That's cool. So we don't want to roll the second dice. And we want to say second roll. Okay. Now we want to show the head of the first of R prime, which I haven't created yet. So R prime, let R prime equal the second. Is it the second of R? No, it's split at. Applied to take the first argument, but we apply this to the second list inside R. Okay, so I should, oops, if I reload first, do some rolls. Second roll is also 4. That might just be bad luck. Let's roll the first number twice. Let me just change the generator, see what it gives me. See if it's just a bit of a fluke. Yes, it was a bit of a fluke. Okay. So we have this pattern, I think, where we can say I could probably build a helper function for this actually. So given the type of roles, which was, let's look at it somewhere. It's kind of just a list of integers. I can write a function which returns to me the next dice value and the rest as a tuple. So we can say something like, roll 1 goes from a list of integers and returns a tuple containing an integer and then another list of integers. So roll 1 is, what do we do with it? So we split it 1. Which gives us a tuple, 1 in 36 chance of two numbers being the same. I think, given the way this has gone so far, is pretty much a 1 in 1 chance of it doing the thing I don't want it to first time, because it seems to hate me. Okay, so split that gives me this tuple back. And what I want to do is, I'm just going to store that in a variable for seconds, where split is that. So we want the head first on our split. It's probably better if I write it around. Head first on our split as the first element in our tuple. And the other thing is just a second of split. Use first. Okay, I've done to before where I've kind of written out the definition of the function that I want, and then the language server in this case has just popped up and said this is really the function that you want. It already exists. So if I go to here and I search for, maybe first is in this file. Maybe it's not. Let's go back to Google and search first. See what it's trying to tell me to use. I don't know which first it's thinking here. I haven't got protolude, so it won't be that one. I don't think it would be anyway. No. Don't think it's that. Okay, I'm not really sure what it means when it says use first. Is it just it doesn't like me using FST? No. Okay, I don't know what it means by use first. Why not did it bifuncted at first head split? Why not? First head split, I could try it. Oh, is it suggesting that I write this the way around? So instead of writing, no, it seems to be saying that this whole expression, head first split and then second split, I can place with did it bifuncted at first head split. Will it rewrite it for me? Yes, it will. And then if I can import did it bifunctor, let me just import that as well. What did it bifunctor first? Oh. Okay. Apparently that works. I don't know what that does, so let's see if it actually works. We probably should export that. Or can I just say lib dot roll 1? No. So can I say row 1? Yes. Let's type that. So it takes a list of integers and it should give me back the first and then the rest of them. So if I say row 1 of, oops, 1, 5, 6, 1, exactly what I want. Cool. So I didn't really need to write a function just to call another function. Although I could now say split 1. No, I can't. Head first. I don't think I'll split 1 because it's can I say head first dollar split 1? Probably not. No, I'll just leave it the way it is. So that I was trying to be clever. But I could certainly inline that, so I can say split 1R. Can I not? I'm confused now because I said split here, but split is literally, oh, it's split at, sorry. That's why I'm confused for. And I don't think I can either reduce that. Oops, in character. So I'm wondering if I can type dollar in there and then split up there, but it can't do it. So let's just leave it at that. Short enough. Okay. So in theory, can I then destructure that? So I can say something like let x's equal row 1 1, 5, 6, 1 for no particular reason. No. I'm sorry, like that coding style, like my spelling style. Yeah, it really is a case of just smash the keyboard to get close to where I want to be, and then hand it over to the language server and let it fix it for me. It's like when I write French as well. You write it with like grammar assistance on. It just writes it on your behalf. It makes it a lot easier. Okay, why can I not? Oh, because this returns a tuple, doesn't it? So x and x's is row 1, and x is just the first thing, and then you can then, I think you can then say let x prime, x's prime equal row 1 x's. Then x prime is the next number. Cool. X is in this. X is prime, sorry, it's just the rest of the list. Okay, cool. So we set up our initial infinite list of random roles. So instead of calling split at here and then doing all this funky stuff, oops, we can just place that with row 1 of x. So we can call this like r and rest be that, and then we will show r, and then we'll say r prime and rest prime is rule 1 of rest, and then here we just say show r prime. Okay, and here reload and then do some rolls. I think the first roll is 3 and second roll is 1, which is what we got before, with a helper in between. Okay, so one thing I think we can do with this is we can start to build up some kind of interaction with the user around this. So you could say just display a prompt, and then we can say action or command, isn't it? So whatever I type in, I can call using get string, get line, get string. You said I just want to make sure that bit works. So do some roles. It's got a prompt. I can say hello, and it says you said hello. That's cool. With only one line break there, so it's obviously chomping the line that I'm typing in, which I want to do. So we can now say case command of. So we could say, if you say roll, what are we going to do? I think if you say roll, then we want to say let x equal, oh, we need this x sort of outside this. In fact, I think what I'm going to do is pass in the infinite list. So yeah, listen, and then we execute under IO. So this will be our roles, I guess. What I'm thinking is, I want to say if you said roll, then we'll get the next value, and then we will just recurse and call this again and get the next command. And if you say stop, then we won't recurse. Put str to not print a new line. So here we can say if you said roll, then we'll roll. So we can say roll 1 of roles. In fact, we're going to say let r and rest be that, and then we will put string you rolled, and then show r. We need to do that. If you say stop, we're going to just put string done. Okay, and then just go to that for a second. So I just need to move this somewhere. We don't just say you roll that, we also then say do some rolls with the rest of this, so whatever rest is. Okay. And then we can have something called play. Not really much for play, but IO. So play equals to so here we want to say, let's look at my cut buffer. Yep. So I shouldn't call this rolled, by the way, because that's a bad name for it. Oh no, I don't want to select all of them. I want to select ones in this function. Let's call this X, because I can't think of a better name. So we get our infinite list of roles, and then we call whatever that was called. Was it do some roles? Good name, isn't it? Do some roles with R. And just for fun, we can print out. Okay, done now. Okay, so if I export play, stop exporting all this stuff. Reload. Now in theory, if I say play, it should ask me for commands, and I can say done, and I get an exception. Good. What were my exceptions? Stop, roll and stop, but I could just actually say anything else. We'll just assume you want to stop. So we say done. It says okay, done now. Maybe play and say roll, and then roll, and then roll, and then roll, and roll. Doing pretty well. Okay, so the other thing we need to keep track of is the total that you've got so far, because you can only, once you get over 9, the game is over. Basically, you get disqualified. So I'm going to take an initial value, which is the sort of count so far, so total. And then we'll also, at the very end, turn an integer. Oops. Okay, so here we'll print out done, but we'll return the total. And here, oh, because I'm not passing in total here. So total there. Okay, now to use the total, so we'll say let new total be R plus, well, the old total plus R. We'll say you rolled that. Let's fill in new total is, and then we'll show the new total. We'll pass the new total into here so it keeps increasing. And then we can say start it off with 0. Does that work, do we think? So reload that and then play. So if we roll, we get 3 and the new total is 3, and then we roll, we should get a 1 and the new total is 4. And we now get 6, and then we get 11. So that's kind of cool. And I'm going to stop when we hit 9. I kind of feel like I'm building this in quite a imperative way again, but we can, I guess, come back and tidy up a bit in a moment. There's no refactoring help, is there, for inlining? No, it's annoying. I just like to inline this. Oops. Keep hitting the wrong key. Okay. So anyway, we've rolled it, we got our new total. So now we can say if our new total is greater than 9. In fact, we can say, let's do case new total. If you rolled a 9, sorry, if you've built up 9, then we will say put strlen you win. I'll just print that first. And then just say your total oh, I can't use case here because I don't think I can say less than 9. I don't think that's a valid thing to say. I want to do case, but with a function in the guard. Is that a thing you can do? I don't know what I'm searching for. Guard inside case statement. Two guards. Why are they using it here? So just state code. There is pattern matching, but they are saying case, in this case, the number of I don't know. Whoops, what have you done? Can I say otherwise and then put my guard in place? And say less than 9. Don't think this is going to work. No. I'm not quite sure to write this. So I don't want nested if statements. I refuse to do that. But here, I want this to be a guard. So they're saying case something of whatever, just in this case, in our case 9. And then we can say otherwise, and I think we should be able to do the arrow and then the guard. And then what's this? So we could, in our guard, we could say less than 9. And then we can say that. No, can we say total prime? No. Okay, how else can I write this? Must be a way to write a case statement with a guard. Guards appear after a pattern and before the body. So we're not a function definition. This doesn't apply. But we are a case something of what are they saying here? After the pattern and before the body. So looks like the guard is here and the rest is there. So I thought I should be able to say in that case less than 9. That doesn't work either. Look at the example we got here. So they've got pattern and then guard. I think my pattern would be underscore, then my guard. Okay, getting better. So now I get a new error, which is this guard doesn't work. Could match expression bool with actual type of A to bool. Right, so otherwise, if the new total less than 9, then we can keep playing. So we can do that. So if it's exactly 9, then we win. Otherwise, if it's less than if it's less than 9, then we show a new total and then we let them roll again. We'll play again. And then can I put another guard there? Which would say I don't really need this because we know that that's the value, but anyway. In here we say put string you lose. Right, let's get rid of this because we don't need it. And then we say pure total prime. Okay, it doesn't feel great, but we cannot. Maybe it works. Let's see if it works first. Then we can worry about how bad it is. Okay, so if we now say play, then we roll again, and we roll again, and then if we roll again, it should say that we lose. Roll 5, you lose. Cool. So let's make some information here. We can say you lose. So show total prime is more than 9, more than, higher than. Okay. Not a radical change, but it should make it a little bit easier. Oops. Play, roll, 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 roll. You lose 11 higher than 9. Okay. That's cool, I think. So if you stop, so you don't get exactly 9, we can print that out. So we can say let final, what's that? And then we can say something like final score is, and I will just say 9 minus final. Oops. And show that. No instance we show in the second argument plus plus greater than. What do you mean greater than? Or where do you mean greater than? Oh, higher than, greater than. Yeah, that works. You lose, something's greater than 9. Cool. 9 minus final. I don't know what's wrong with that. An interesting lag on the chat. So you'll have typed that in, what, 10 minutes ago, saying rather than higher than when I was saying it. And then it takes about 10 to 12 seconds for that to be broadcast to you. 12 minus 4, I just wonder what the type of this subtraction is. It seems fine, it's just a number, so why can you not show that? You can show that, so there's something wrong with final here. Oh, sorry, it's not let. It's because it's returning it. It's running the whole thing under I/O. So what I could actually do would be super fancy, but I don't want to be super fancy. Or do I? The thing is, it returns an integer, so you could then pipe it to print. You could not do that. Let's not be silly. Let's say final is whatever comes back from doing this. Reload, play again. So roll, roll, roll. Got 6, that's enough. Oh. Done, final score is 3. So that's how far away we are from 9. And roll, 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 roll. That was minus 2 because we've gone too far. But we've already lost. Okay, not the most amazing interface in the world, but it's kind of functional and lets us play it. This is horribly procedural or imperative, so we might come to clean that up, but probably next week now. The only thing I'm wondering now before I stop is, can we somehow see this with a properly random value? And I think there is, but I don't know what it is. I need some more examples. This purity around numbers, but that's what I'm using, and stdgen. Oh, I think I think I need something else to generate my instance of random gen. Okay, I think the answer might be there's nothing I can quickly use. So again, I'll come back to it next week, I think. Yeah. Infinite list of serial values instead of returning a new generator. Oh, random moars would have been what I want. Okay, that would have been better. Yes, so random moar is returning me the next value and the generator, whereas randoms. And why does it take a pair? I don't know why it takes a pair at the beginning. Pair and a generator, and then returns. Maybe that second thing is the seed actually. And it returns an infinite list. So I could just replace a lot of my stuff to an infinite list with calling that. But yeah, I don't think I have anything here which is going to allow me to seed it from basically from system. So I might stop at that point, but I've made some progress. I've got like a simple interactive game. You keep rolling the dice until you get as close to 9 as possible without going over it. But because it's deterministically seeded, the answer is to roll it 4 times. So that's not great, but definitely better than last week. So next week, I'm going to come back, try and make this properly random, and then try and tidy up this code a bit and make it a little bit more functional. And then we might look at tracking this stuff on inside state rather than sort of recursively calling it like this. But I don't know, we'll see. Feels like we could rewrite it using state and skip a lot of this kind of do the roll and check it and then recurse stuff, but we'll see. Cool. But I'm going to call it an evening there and just leave it for now. Thanks for watching along and possibly see you next week. Goodbye.